This radio program is PG-13. Parents strongly caution some material may be inappropriate for children under the age of 13.
The following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Arizona, Phoenix, yes. Brother Mike back on the radio, hardcorechristianity.com. Thanks for tuning in to the program. You are about to listen to the nastiest Christian radio broadcast in the country. You're going to get the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, and we don't care who likes it. We never have. Today's Bible study, Nasty Nimrod, the worst human being that ever lived. Hey, will you call somebody and tell them the radio program's on? I'll make a couple of quick announcements when you make that call. Thanks for your help. This is Brother Mike, hardcorechristianity.com is a website. Please remember we have 2 live services every week, Thursday and Friday nights at 7 o'clock. We have 2 live Zoom healing services every week, Tuesday and Wednesday nights. Tuesday nights is for the ladies only, 6:30 p.m. Pacific and Arizona time. Wednesday nights for everybody, 6 p.m. Arizona and Pacific time. Please remember all of our other seminars and our ministry services. We have a counseling center available at the Deliverance Center, and that counseling center, if you're a born-again Christian, is free. Give us a call at 602-636-5800 for free counseling services for born-again Christians. Please remember the PayPal button on the website. Please remember my Sunday morning podcast, 9 o'clock Sunday morning, twitch.tv. Just put in HCCADC and you are there. Nimrod, he was nasty. Ever heard of Pol Pot? Ever heard of Hitler? Ever heard of Stalin? They all got his spirit, and none of them was as bad as Nimrod. If you can believe it or not, Nimrod was only the second generation from the flood of Noah. Okay? The entire planet was wiped out because of sin. And within 2 generations, in spite of the fact that the sons of Noah lived through the flood, the entire world went to a living hell in a handbasket. And guess who did it? Yeah, Nimrod, the son of Cush. Ham had 4 sons, and they basically took over. Cush took over Arabia and Babylonia and India. Mizraim, his name means double in Hebrew. He took over northern and southern Egypt. Phut took over Libya and northern Africa. Canaan, which we've heard numerous times, obviously. Palestine, Arabia, Tyre and Sidon, the land promised to Abraham. And then along came Cush's son, Nimrod. The Hebrew word for Nimrod is marad. Marad means to rebel. Rebellion demons are the nastiest and most powerful demons you'll ever see in our society. They're the ones that are behind Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Ku Klux Klan, white nationalists, rioters, the violence in our society, people being killed, robbed, and murdered and mugged is skyrocketing in the United States, particularly in Democrat-run cities. The damage and the destruction is literally horrible. Minnesota, much of that city in Minneapolis, still looks like a wasteland 3 years later. But rebellion demons are the ones that tore the place to pieces. Rebellion demons are the ones who cause violence and do rioting. They are the ones behind mass murderers, school shootings, and serial killers. The spirit of Nimrod was a monster. and Nimrod rebelled against God, only a second generation away from the flood. Can you believe that? He was a powerful, marauding mass murderer. He was a hunter of men and animals. He rebelled against God and did it deliberately. Genesis chapter 10. Believe it or not, Josephus writes about Nimrod in the book of Antiquities. It's in book 1, chapter 4, section 2. And Josephus said that Nimrod had persuaded people to ascribe their happiness to him rather than God. Nimrod was the one that founded Babylon, and he was behind the building of the Tower of Babel. He was a great, powerful leader who was a mass murdering slaughterer. Josephus said he even defied God to send another flood. And he taught the people to build walls around their cities for protection against wild animals. The Jerusalem Targum, the ancient writings of some of the Jews, the Targum was originally the Bible translated into Aramaic for Jews. In the Targum, one of the writers says, quote, he was mighty in hunting, in prey, and in sin before God, for he was a hunter of the children of men in their languages. And he said to them, depart from the religion of Shem and cleave to the institutions of Nimrod. Another Targum of Ben Uziel, he said, quote, from the foundation of the world, none was ever found like Nimrod, powerful in hunting and rebellious against the Lord. He was a mighty hunter, the Bible says in Genesis chapter 10, and this Hebrew word, gibaur, is translated as mighty, but it was also translated to describe the Nephilim that came upon the earth before and after the flood of Noah. Genesis 6, Psalms 52, Psalms 120, Isaiah 5, and Jeremiah 9. A gibaur. That was the description of Nimrod. I don't know if he was a Nephilim, but he was certainly something similar to it. He was a tyrant and an oppressive despot. He was a cold-blooded killer. He had zero conscience, and he was the most wicked man that ever lived. His spirits were the ones that invaded Stalin, Hitler, and Pol Pot, and all the rest of them, Saddam, and they became marauding mass murderers and killers. The spirit of Nimrod is the one that's attacking America, causing major rebellion and destruction of our cities. Many of our cities in the United States, the big ones, are being turned into rubble with homelessness everywhere, drug addictions everywhere, illegal immigrants running amok everywhere. Entire downtowns of major cities in the United States, run by mostly Democrats, have been completely destroyed. Parks and open airways and sidewalks and streets now serve as toilets in many major cities in the United States. As we succumb to the spirit of Nimrod, our society is now collapsing right in front of us. God put the stops on Nimrod temporarily when he spread the languages at the Tower of Babel. You read the story in Genesis chapter 11. It's fascinating. But he swapped their languages so they couldn't keep building the Tower of Babel because they were building it to a demon idol god under the direction and inspiration of the demons of Nimrod. He was the most wicked and rottenest human being that ever lived. He will not be surpassed until the rise of the Antichrist in only a few years from the date of this radio program. The Antichrist is alive somewhere in the United States or Europe or the Middle East. He's somewhere. He's alive somewhere, and he will rise to power out of the Middle East, and he will be the only person in history more wicked, more evil, and more rotten to the core than Nimrod, the rebellion, the monster. There's never been anybody like Nimrod except when Stalin and Hitler popped up, but they were gentle compared to him. He began the Tower of Babel. He began the rebellion against God and spread it around the face of the earth. And it occurred only a couple generations away from the flood of Noah. You would have thought the people at that time would have remembered the flood and remembered the sin and would never have gone back to it. But the exact opposite happened, and with the rise of Nimrod, sin and wickedness and evil flourished throughout the known world at that time. There's never been anybody his equal, and there never will be until the Antichrist rises to power. I don't know where he is right now. I know he's alive. The Bible teaches he comes out of the area of something similar to Syria in the Middle East, and he will have all the evil and all the wickedness of Nimrod and then some, because the Bible teaches in Revelation that Satan gives him his power. Power to what? Hate and kill and control people and use AI and use the international banking system and control people's lives with the mark of the beast, the charagma, the mark that's etched into your hand or your forehead, used as identification. The charagma will have to be taken voluntarily by everyone of their own free will, and they will know what they're doing when they take it. Because the Antichrist will do what Nimrod did and ascribe worship to himself and tell people to stop focusing on God and focus on him. That's exactly what Nimrod did. And the power that Nimrod had was enormous, but it will be nothing similar to the Antichrist when he rises to power. Evil is spreading in the United States like you can't even conceive nor believe it. If you went back in a time machine to 1955, you literally wouldn't recognize the United States. I mean, it's literally completely changed. If you feel you're being stalked by the spirit of Nimrod, 602-636-5800, this rebellion demon can be cast out of your body and cast out of your soul. I've seen it numerous times. There's help available for you, Mark 16. And God is available to deliver you from the spirit of rebellion. The spirit of rebellion is the spirit of Nimrod. And if this thing doesn't get cast out, it will destroy everything it touches. See you next time.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.